What is up, guys? Impromptu live stream. Wanted to hop on here and talk about some of the stuff that's been going on, NBA trade deadline, and obviously the Raptors getting set for their NBA trade deadline as things are getting crazy, man. Like the Raptors, are they going to make a deal? Are they not going to make a deal? It all remains to be seen, but there was a game. And the Raptors, they did beat the Clippers. And this is a team that all of a sudden, I mean, they've won what, 8 of their last 10? The Chicago Bulls are probably going to tank now. So that might give the Raptors an opportunity to potentially pass them. So there's a lot on the forefront. Obviously, the biggest NBA news: Luka Doncic traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. He should still be on the Dallas Mavericks. Like that just absolutely blew my mind. I still can't comprehend how that happened or why it happened. It's something that it's going to take a while to properly digest. And then we didn't even have a full 24 hours from that trade. And then De'Aaron Fox just got traded to the San Antonio Spurs. I absolutely love the trade for the Spurs. I think the Kings got a nice haul back too. I don't know what the hell the Chicago Bulls are doing. I did not like the move for them. The Bulls need to bottom out. It's as simple as that. And now is that going to create an opportunity for the Raptors to now move into that final playing spot? Because I think the Bulls are going to be an operation tank for the rest of the season. But for the Raptors, a lot of interesting stuff, guys, because this is a team that they are winning as of late. They've won 8 of their last 10. But of course, all eyes are on the trade deadline. What is Masai Ujiri going to do? Is he going to stand pat? Is he going to be a seller, an aggressive seller? Or is he going to continue this trend of crazy trades and pull a curveball out of nowhere? Obviously, Brandon Ingram's name has come up. Andrew Wiggins' name has come up too, although that Andrew Wiggins stuff might have been put to bed because according to Brian Windhorst, he put this out on X not too long ago. Jimmy Butler has communicated to the Warriors that he's unwilling to sign an extension there. Therefore, trade talks to send him to Golden State have ended. Sources told ESPN. That's per Windy. So the whole Wiggins to Raptors scenario was alive because the Raptors were going to help facilitate Jimmy Butler to the Warriors, and then Wiggins was going to land in Toronto. That's what Mark Stein reported yesterday. But now by the Warriors effectively being out of the Jimmy Butler sweepstakes, at least now they are at the time of this recording, that basically eliminates the whole Wiggins scenario. But the Raptors could still trade for Wiggins theoretically because they have Bruce Brown and a Kelly Olynyk. But I don't know if the Warriors would part ways with Andrew Wiggins unless it was in helping orchestrate a larger trade to bring Jimmy Butler to Golden State. So then that basically, I guess eliminates that. And what I see the Raptors doing at this point is they're either going to be an aggressive seller and try to offload some of those veteran pieces, and maybe they're involved in a Jimmy Butler trade. But at this point, it's like Jimmy Butler doesn't want to go anywhere. So, like, I really don't know if Phoenix can pull it off. They certainly need the Raptors' help or a third or fourth team to get involved for that to happen. So that's the interesting part. And then you got all of the, pending decisions on this basketball team. If the Raptors aren't involved in a larger trade, are they going to look to shop Chris Boucher, Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown, but he's making $23 million. It's going to be hard to move him one for one. Davion Mitchell, those have been the names that have come up, right? Jakob Poeltl, although I don't think the Raptors are going to trade Jakob Poeltl. There's been a lot of intel suggesting the Raptors are going to keep him. I think right now it's Kelly, Boucher, Bruce Brown. Those are the three that I would put at the top of the Raptors trade list. How they trade them remains to be seen. I think if you are going to do one for one, Chris Boucher is the easier one just because of what he's making. He's a $10.8 million expiring contract. And Bruce Brown, it's going to be hard to get to that salary if you're a singular team in a trade. You got to have a larger, Bruce Brown would be more beneficial in a larger deal. But right now, I don't know if we're going to get that big Jimmy Butler trade. I mean, it seems like if we are, it's going to be Jimmy to Phoenix because it seems like he doesn't want to go anywhere else. And this is a pretty big developing story with Golden State basically shutting down the trade talks because Butler is unwilling to sign an extension there. And I thought he wanted to go to Golden State. So I'm kind of confused by that. Wasn't that one of his preferred destinations? It was Dallas, who certainly won't trade for Butler now, Golden State, and Phoenix. So it's literally just Phoenix right now, it seems, in the Jimmy Butler sweepstakes. And then, of course, you got the Brandon Ingram stuff, right? That's huge. That Brandon Ingram stuff is huge. Like, with how stars are falling right now and the floodgates are open, I would not be surprised if we get, like somehow Jimmy goes to Phoenix and we get a Brandon Ingram trade with kind of how things are playing out. And with Brandon Ingram, he's been linked to the Raptors. Jake Fisher doubled down on that report from Mark Stein saying that reportedly Masai has a ton of interest in Ingram. So that would kind of be like the surprise element in the trade deadline for the Raptors. Like, that would genuinely surprise me if we get a curveball like that. So, like, does Masai have a trick up his sleeve in terms of that? Or is it going to be more of like the predictable, he's going to try to offload the vets, get assets back? That's what I think we're going to see. But the Ingram stuff's kind of like, holy shoot, like, here we go again. Like, what's going on? Like, not as big of a surprise as the Doncic stuff, obviously, but pretty surprising if you're a Raptors fan, I would say, at this point, if the Raptors were to somehow strike a deal for Ingram. But I think they'll be conservative in the sense where it's either Masai does nothing or he tries to offload some of those vets. And honestly, like I said it in a prior video, I would be actually surprised if Boucher's still on this team. Like, I put him as the likeliest Raptor to be traded at this point. I think Chris is gone by this time next week. He played today. He played well. It's like every time Boucher plays, the Raptors win. I don't think they'll move off from Kelly Olynyk because just how thin they are with their front court depth. And then who am I missing here? Yeah, Jakob Poeltl, I don't think they're going to trade. And Davion Mitchell, I don't think they're going to trade because he's been really good for the team, especially with IQ out. So I think it's Boucher, like Boucher and Bruce Brown. Those are the two that I see the Raptors trying to trade. So yeah, like, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how kind of everything plays out. But let me know, guys. Let me know if you have any questions, kind of like a Q&A too. Who do you want to see moved? What do you think the Raptors are going to do in the wake of the craziness that has been the last 24 hours of Doncic getting traded, now De'Aaron Fox getting traded? Like, those, like, Fox was the big piece. Jimmy Butler's still the big piece that hasn't been moved, and Brandon Ingram. And even Zach LaVine got moved, right? So, like, he's off the table. Like, that was always the big move that was always rumored to happen. And it finally happened with the Bulls getting off from that contract. Zach's in Sacramento. So who's going to be the next big name to go? And are the Raptors going to be a facilitator in that? That's the next interesting piece, right? Because, like, I thought if a larger Zach LaVine trade went down, which just happened, maybe the Raptors would have gotten involved in that. But obviously San Antonio was involved in that, and they got a nice player back in Fox. And I think, yeah, if you obviously with Butler, like, you're going to need another team to get involved. So maybe that facilitating team is the Toronto Raptors. And I think that's what the Raptors want to do because, like, going back to the initial report from Doug Smith of the Toronto Star, that's how you get rid of your expiring contracts, right? Like, those are your valuable trade chips in a larger deal. That's how you're able to offload Boucher and Brown, and then you're able to get paid in draft compensation. It's much harder to move those guys one-on-one, but if you can kind of use those guys to execute the larger deal, that would be a lot more easy. But yeah, it looks like the Warriors are out when it comes to Butler as of now. The Suns, maybe a surprise team comes out of nowhere and Butler's open to going to them. I mean, he's shutting down everyone. He said no to even the Grizzlies, I believe. So it's like, I don't know what's going to happen with Butler. Honestly, I see a world where nothing happens. Like, I think they just might hold him like prisoner. Like, they don't trade him. They suspended him indefinitely. He doesn't play. And they'll let him just figure it out in the summer. Like, I definitely see that scenario. I can see Pat Riley doing that. Like Miami strikes me as a team that they're not going to trade him just to trade him. Like if anything, yeah, I could see Pat Riley being like petty like that too. Like, oh, you wanted to play this game? Well, we're not going to trade you, and you're not going to play for the rest of the season. So I don't think a Butler trade is a foregone conclusion. Fox was. That's why, like, as much as it's surprising, it wasn't that surprising because, like, I think we all anticipated a Fox deal, and Fox to the Spurs just made complete sense. I absolutely love that pairing with him and Victor Wembanyama. So we'll see if we get another like crazy trade out of nowhere. But in terms of the Raptors, like, yeah, like what I would want to see them do is, as much as people want to see him here, like Chris Boucher, you got to trade him. Like trade Boucher. He makes this team better. You want to get assets for him. You know, a couple of seconds would be nice. He's playing really well. You got to sell him while his stock is its highest. You still got to play for the draft game. You still got to play for the long-term game. Like Chris Boucher, if the Raptors were contending or a playoff team, sure, you keep him. But right now, it doesn't make any sense to keep him, especially when he's on an expiring deal. So, like, I would say trade Chris Boucher and trade Bruce Brown. Like, those are the two most obvious ones, right? Like, Bruce Brown as well. You could get some value back for him. He's a guy who can help contending teams, and you want to just get picks for those players. Like, those are two guys that just don't make sense for this team going forward. Kelly is another guy, veteran big, but you need center depth right now. Unless the Raptors are absolutely sold by Orlando Robinson, I don't see them moving off from Kelly just because they're super thin behind Yak. So if Yak goes down, like, they're going to be in shambles with their center position. So that's a guy who does make sense for now to keep. And then, yeah, Davion, I wouldn't trade. At this point, Davion's shown a lot. Like, he's valuable defensively. And I wouldn't move off from Davion. And then, yeah, Caperto, going back to the whole center argument, like, you need a good center. And the Raptors feel like they can compete next season. And you're going to need Pirtle to come up. So I would keep him too. So, again, like, Bruce Brown and Chris Boucher, those are the most obvious ones and the ones that make sense to me. If the Raptors can move him in a larger deal, great. If not, I think it's easier to move Boucher. The Clippers, who they just played, are interested in him. The Knicks, there's frameworks of deals that work in those individual scenarios. But Bruce Brown's the tough one, really. Like, it's going to be hard to get a realistic pathway to a Bruce Brown trade 1-for-1. Like, for instance, the Denver Nuggets like Bruce Brown, but they don't have many mid-sized contracts that would be of appeal to the Raptors. The Nuggets are not giving up Michael Porter Jr. for Bruce Brown. So, like, that's a scenario that would not work. Like, I haven't really looked beyond the Nuggets, to be honest, but like, even, I guess there's Golden State too with Andrew Wiggins and that contract, but I don't see the Warriors trading Wiggins unless it was for Jimmy Butler. Like, I think they really value Wiggins over there in Golden State. I do not see them parting ways with Wiggins for like Bruce Brown and Olynyk, so like, I saw them parting ways with Wiggins for a star. So I don't see that as a possibility. New York, I guess, New York, they got interested in Boucher. Maybe they could be interested in Brown, but I haven't really looked at a framework of a deal that the Knicks could offer the Raptors. So I think, yeah, the Raptors are kind of banking on being a facilitator in a deal to move off from Brown. And if they're unable to do that, I think they can get a deal done for Boucher, and they will. So, yeah, there's a world where I see the Raptors. There's a world I see the Raptors doing nothing, and there's also a world where I see the Raptors just trading Chris Boucher and holding on to Bruce Brown and holding on to him until the summer and potentially entertaining signing trade options that way. Those are kind of the worlds I see. Is there a world I see the Raptors going completely haywire and trading for Brandon Ingram? Honestly, if the Luka Doncic trade didn't happen, I would have said no. But because that trade happened, I'm now a firm believer of expect the unexpected. So, I mean, that's in the realm of possibility now. I feel like the Luka Doncic trade like broke the fourth wall. Like, now you have to expect the unexpected. Now there's no trade that is deemed unrealistic. Like, it just shattered that. And there is no player who is untouchable. Like, Luka Doncic got traded, and I got to believe that Grady Dick's untouchable. Like, come on now, right? So it's like nobody's untouchable anymore in the NBA. I would only say the only untouchables after the Doncic trade are Jokic and Wemby. My list would have been a lot longer before the Doncic trade, but like that just shattered now how I view things and how I guess GMs are going to operate. Like, everything's open. So going back to the BI stuff, I would be genuinely surprised and shocked, but I'm not going to entirely shut it down because of what just happened. Like, you never know what could happen in the NBA. Do I think the Raptors should go for Ingram? No, I still am a firm believer the Raptors should play this, the long game, take the slow approach, try to go for as best of a draft pick as they can get and tank away the rest of the season, or at least do their best to try to lose as many games as they can. But obviously we see how this team is looking right now. They're winning, right? So maybe Masai pivots and he says, hell, I don't want to be patient. I want to get Scotty Barnes that significant piece that Grange reported on, and I want to compete now. I want to skip a step and speed up this timeline. So if that's his intention, you go out and get a guy like BI, right? De'Aaron Fox was linked to the Raptors too, but he obviously just got traded. So it's fascinating because I think now with the Bulls doing what they did, it's going to be tough for the Raptors to race to the bottom. It really is. Like, nobody's catching the Wizards. They're going to be the consensus worst record, best odds. The Jazz are going to be bad. The Nets, I think, are going to be truly bad. The Blazers have been winning games. So I think the Blazers don't want to tank, or at least they're not showing signs of tanking. And I think the Bulls are going to fall to that bottom now. Oh, and there's the Hornets too. So I just named, 5 teams? So I think the worst thing in the world would be like if the Raptors finished 11th and, they ended up doing that or making the play and going one and done. And then instead of picking 5 to 7, all of a sudden you have the 10th pick in the draft. I think that would be tough. Brandon Ingram is not worth it for TO. He's often hurt, doesn't look healthy, and would cost too much in assets and a big contract. Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to Brandon Ingram. Still hoping Boucher for D Holmes. Denver needs to make a move, especially after these other deals today. Yeah, actually, I don't think I mentioned that, but Chris Boucher has been linked to the Nuggets as well. So that's definitely a plausibility. But going back to what you said about Ingram, that's the part that a lot of people, I guess, seem to forget. Yeah, Brandon Ingram, like he's I wouldn't label him as injury prone, but he hasn't been able to stay on the floor. Like, he's missed time, quite a bit of time, like collectively in his career. So that's one thing. And then also, like, are the Raptors really in a position where they want to start forking away future picks for a guy? Like, they're a rebuilding team. You want your picks. Like, those are valuable to you. And to trade for Ingram, I know fans are hoping that, they could get it done without RJ Barrett. And the Pelicans would be interested in a Bruce Brown, Boucher, and pick type of deal. I don't think that's I don't think that happens, quite frankly. I think if the Pelicans do trade Brandon Ingram to the Toronto Raptors, they want RJ Barrett back. And money-wise, the Raptors would have to deal RJ Barrett, or else they're going to be a tax team. And to be a tax team with BI, like, that's not even a championship contender if you have Quakely, Barrett, Ingram, Barnes, Pirtle. Like, there's even like a questionable pairing there with Scotty and BI. I know BI is a legitimate shot creator, but that could be a clunky fit with those guys. So it doesn't make a lot of sense once you break it down like that. The only way it would make sense is if the Raptors say, we want BI over RJ. Like, that's the only way it makes sense. You can't have both on the roster, in my opinion, with Scotty. That's just that's a mess right there. It's either BI or RJ. And if you give up RJ, you probably don't have to part way with the picks. And you're basically saying we believe BI is a better long-term fit alongside Scotty Barnes than RJ Barrett because he's a legitimate score first guy. And we believe he's the better player than RJ Barrett. Like, that's the only way I see that deal going down. But I'd be shocked if the Raptors go the other way and they try to make it work with all those guys and then you're a tax team. Like, I don't see that in the realm of possibilities. So it's basically it's BI or RJ. Like, that's the Raptors' decision. And really, like, I think it's early, like, to give up on this Raptors core. Like, they haven't even played half a season together. And Barrett has been great. IQ's finally back now, knock on wood. Hopefully he can stay healthy because it's been terrible to see his kind of, in and out with the injuries. So I think it would be a mistake to like already give up on these guys when you haven't gotten like a decent enough sample size. Like, if you give it a year and then you're like, okay, like Barrett, I don't see him as a long-term guy next to Scotty. I understand that. But like, to give up on it now, that would be quite the gamble. Like, the Raptors traded, and I'm not trying to compare the guys, but just to give you an analogy, when the Raptors made that surprising trade, which ended up being huge for them in the history of their franchise of trading away DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard, that wasn't after a year of DeRozan. That was years of seeing DeRozan and the type of player that he was and all of the shortcomings of the playoffs with the Raptors before they made a big trade. But to do that here with Barrett, like this soon, where like he literally just got here and he literally just made like this mini leap, if you want to call it that, this season, playing as well as he has next to Scotty, and you're ready to depart from that. I don't know. I don't know if Masai would do that. He's usually methodical and patient when making, big moves like that. Do you think the Raptors can make a run for the play-in? Do I think they can? Absolutely. Do I want them to? No. I don't want the Raptors going for the play-in, but based on how things are shaping up, like I just said, the Bulls, I think they're going to bottom out. The Hornets, the Wizards suck. Those are already 3 teams, right? So there's a world where the Raptors, they're hot right now. They're winning. They can't stop winning. So, but it just doesn't make sense to me, because if the Raptors really wanted to go for the play-in, then why on Friday against the Chicago Bulls did they DNP Kelly Olynyk and Chris Boucher, and then against the Clippers they played them? Like, wouldn't they have played those guys on Friday because you want to try to win that game? And then like when that happened, I'm like, the Raptors are obviously tanking, and then Sunday rolls around against the Clippers and they play those guys. I know Shed and Davion Mitchell were out, so you needed somebody to come back, but like you could have played Orlando Robinson and they didn't play him. So I don't know. Like, I don't know where the Raptors are at right now. I think we're going to get a better indication of where they're at after the deadline of like, are they going to go for a play-in spot, or are they going to show their hand to the tank? I think if they're aggressive sellers, that basically is the dead giveaway. And if they do nothing, I guess they want to just continue with this team and continue to win. And obviously, if they make a aggressive win now move, that tells you they want to win now. Hey, what's going on, Sweet Chili? Big ups from Arley Beach, Australia. Shout out to you. The narrative hasn't changed in Toronto. We aren't going to land all-star talent in the offseason. The Raptors are always linked to so many big names, and then nothing ends up happening. But that's why I think it's important to build through the draft, Sweet Chili. Unfortunately, the reality is we're not a destination for big-name free agents. And, you trade for BI. He's an unrestricted free agent. I know you can then like get a bargain on his next deal, but is he really going to even want to be here? Like, even if you traded for Fox, for example, he wanted to be in San Antonio. Like, that's the reality. Like, a lot of these big name guys just don't want to be here in Toronto. So you build through the draft, and you have Scotty Barnes, who you drafted, who wants to be here. You have local RJ Bear, who wants to be here. And what's going to be fascinating is like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, because I was talking about this with my one friend a couple days ago. He's legitimately the one superstar who I can see wanting to come to Toronto. Why? Because he's from here. And that's the reality. Like, that's the only reason why. And that's the reality. Like, unless you draft them and they grow, they grow with the organization, develop a bond here, or they're Canadian born, it's going to be hard to get big name guys here. So that's why you got to continue to build. And that's why you got to go through the draft. Scotty Barnes has been here. He wants to be here, it seems. You know, RJ Barrett, he's Canadian. Like you could tell he wants to be here. So that's the big thing there. Like sometimes, you know, like honestly with the Kawhi thing, like it worked out perfectly, obviously, because the Raptors won a championship, but he went to LA. So if the Raptors didn't win a championship 6 years later, I can't believe it's 6 years later, we're probably having an entirely different conversation about that trade if the Raptors lose in the second round and then Kawhi ditches them, right? So it is tough, like from that perspective, that it's hard that the Raptor, yeah, Toronto, it's tough for them to land all-star talent like via free agency. So that's why the draft's important. You can't have RJ and Grady Dick as the two are defensive liabilities. Well, RJ, I'll give RJ credit. He's been playing much better defense, I would say, but I agree. Like Grady Dick, he still has a long way to go on that. And I assume you're talking about like RJ, Grady, and BI in this scenario, or do you mean right now, like how they're constructed? RJ for 27 as a hometown player is a better choice than BI for 40 million plus. I'll agree. Yeah, I actually agree with that based on what I just said. RJ actually wants to be here, so you're going to get his best effort. Give Masai his credit, due credit for at least checking in on the situation. Guy's got no market right now. He isn't getting his 45 million, such he's chasing. Yeah. And that's the thing about the Raptors, right? Like they're always going to do their due diligence with stars. I give Masai credit in that respect. He's always going to do his homework. He's always going to check in when a star becomes available. I wish the Dallas Mavericks made Luka Doncic readily available and they just didn't have a back pocket deal with the Lakers. Because yeah, Luka to Toronto would have been amazing, but maybe in my next life. But going back to the question, yeah, it's very it's going to be tough for BI to get paid what he wants. I think his value has dropped significantly. Yeah, Steve, I just touched on that. The whole facilitating with Andrew Wiggins. Well, I wouldn't say it's dead because Warriors are out of the Butler sweepstakes, but it's pretty slim because like it's still tough with the Suns, right? Like Bradley Beal's got to waive that no trade clause, and it's basically Phoenix or nothing at this point. And again, if Phoenix can't get something done, it's like Butler's going to be held hostage and not play for the rest of the season. It looks like, but the Warriors reportedly being out of it, it is a big blow for the Raptors sweeping in, and at least in terms of like the Andrew Wiggins bit, because again, Stein reported that the Raptors would almost certainly take on Wiggins if Butler did land with Golden State. That would have been crazy. Imagine the Raptors somehow still get Wiggins. You're going to have an all Canadian, or not all Canadian, but you're going to have another Canadian on the team. Yeah, that's the other part too, right? Be paying high taxes when they play in TO. I think Fox wanting affected, so we may have to extend Bruce. It's better than buying him out and getting nothing back. During the Ingram deal would allow us to move Brown. Olynyk will go to Warriors. Yeah, but then like I said, you're gonna be a tax team if you're gonna have Ingram and then you're gonna have to pay RJ. I don't see the Raptors putting them in that position for a team that's not a championship team. And trading for Ingram does not make the Raptors a championship team. The Bruce thing's interesting because I said it before. It's virtually, I don't want to use the word impossible, but it's very, very tough to move him one for one. You were banking on getting involved in a larger deal to move him. I agree. Buying him out would be the worst thing in this situation. There's also sign and trade scenarios in the summer, so I'm not looking past that. But it's basically sign and trade, or yeah, maybe you have to bring them back because I think buying them out just does not make any sense. Well, it would have been interesting if the Warriors were in on the Jimmy Butler trade, because like I said, that's how you would get Wiggins realistically to Toronto. But I don't think the Raptors should go out of their way to trade for Wiggins. No. When's who playing? I'm seeing Ingram rumors resurface. Is Masai really going to buy again? Yeah, it's getting interesting. And like I said, like I would say no shot. But after the Luka Doncic trade, I'm open. Like I'm open minded. Like I'm kind of expecting the unexpected. So until that buzzer goes, February 6th, 3 p.m. Eastern, I got an open mind. But I I still think it's genuinely unlikely that the Raptors are trading for Ingram. Honestly, I see a world where the Raptors do nothing. I really do. Like I really like I see a world where the Raptors end up doing nothing, or the one trade they make is Boucher, and like the previous commenter alluded to, like you're stuck with Brown, and then you got to decide what you want to do with him. You're gonna buy him out, wait to the summer, sign trade options, or you're gonna want to bring him back. He doesn't want to go there though. He doesn't want to go to Memphis, so I don't know what the hell is going to happen with Butler because he doesn't want to go anywhere. And the one team that he wants to go to can't get a deal done for him. So it's like, it's not looking good. And Miami's not playing him. They suspended him indefinitely. So he's in a tough spot, Jimmy Butler. Brown rumors signing Toronto. He will go to a contender. Yeah, that's true too. I mean, he says he wants to be here, but talk is cheap, right? He says he likes Toronto based on what he was saying and stuff. So maybe he has a change of heart. I mean, he won a championship already. And like his whole thing is he wanted to get paid. So I don't think I think he would be inclined. I think he would be open to the Raptors if they paid him, but I don't think that would be smart for the Raptors. But from Brown's perspective, like he won a championship. I don't think he's hungry for one per se. Like that's his like end all be all. Um, because even with when he signed that Pacers deal, he got paid. So he wanted that payday. He went for the bag and he got it. So, but I don't think it would be smart for the Raptors to pay Bruce Brown under these circumstances. I mean, you're taking away from the younger guys if you do that, right? Like you want to see more of Jacoby Walter, more of Shed, more of Mobile. Yeah, you want to see the rookies cook. Like this is a young rebuilding team. Like you don't want to see the veterans play, and that's why. Like for as much as Boucher makes his team better, he makes them win. Same with Olynyk. Like you want to see the young guys play. You want to see the Orlando Robinsons of the world, get his reps, the Chomchies in due time, you know, have growing pains in real games. Like, yeah, it's not gonna be pretty. It sucks to watch, but that's how you develop and lose. And you kind of kill two birds with one stone, and then hopefully you get a good draft pick. But appreciate everybody in here, guys. Do me a solid, drop a like and subscribe. Gonna go live for a little bit longer. Just want to do an impromptu here. I know it's pretty late. But if you stay up late like me, it's not late at all. But I will be doing another live stream on my personal channel at Luka Rosano tomorrow. Go more in depth about all the trade rumors and the Raptors trade deadline and all that fun stuff. And maybe we have a new development come tomorrow. Maybe another crazy trade happens at 1 a.m. or early tomorrow morning. So I will be doing another live stream on my personal channel tomorrow. But appreciate everybody in here. Let me know if you have any other questions. Drop a like, subscribe. I will definitely be on top of whatever happens Raptors related with the trade deadline a couple days away. And really, I haven't even been scrolling Twitter for the last bit of the stream, so maybe news dropped and I missed it. Let me see. Did another trade happen here? It doesn't look like it, so that's good. I didn't miss anything. Brown is going to be traded along with Boucher. I will not be surprised if RJ is traded too. Well, yeah, like I said before, if the Raptors trade for Ingram, I fully expect RJ to be in that deal. Like, I'd be shocked otherwise. But it's gonna be tough to move Brown, 23 million. So it's got to be a larger deal again. Going back to that talking point, Masai's gonna cook something up. Stay awake tonight. You think so? Do you really think our Raptors deal is gonna go down tonight? Brown will have a change of heart only if Raptors pay Brown 20 million a year. Money talks, my friend. Money talks. Luka, would you trade RJ 2026 first and some fillers for BI and Herb Jones? Herb Jones? Wow. That I don't think the Pelicans are giving up Herb Jones. I mean, that's tough. Like, we're not talking about BI. Like, I'm not trading like that first round pick, which could be valuable, which is the Pacers, for BI. But then you're adding Herb Jones. That changes things. That's awfully compelling. Yeah. I think the Pelicans see Herb Jones and Trey Murphy as like their untouchables. I think they're open to trading Ingram and Zion and everybody else. I think they're keeping Herb and Trey Murphy. Like, those are the guys they're not trading. And then I would say even DeJounte Murray. They just traded him for him. But man, like, that sucks with him. He's out for the season now. If I'm a side, trade Boucher to a young team for a second round pick. Yeah, Raptors are definitely going to get a second, maybe even two for Boucher, honestly, with the way he's been playing. If you could get two seconds. Nope, hearing Boucher to Knicks for Mitchell Robinson and Wizards pick, that won't convey, and it's 2 seconds. You think the Knicks would give Mitchell Robinson and 2 seconds for Boucher? I think the Knicks like Robinson. The only way I see that is if, like, they're out on him completely and they're like, he can't stay healthy, he's injury prone. Nothing from the Pirtle front. The latest was from Dan Wokey of the LA Times. And basically, he revealed the asking price for Boucher. And as you can imagine, it's incredibly high for the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors reportedly want a first, maybe even two for Jakob Poeltl. You're not getting 2 first-round picks for Jakob Poeltl. And I don't think the Raptors were trading Poeltl. There's no. I'm putting that as dead. That's not happening. I think the Raptors, they feel like they can compete and contend next season based on some of the reports. I think they're keeping Poeltl. And I guess, yeah, it makes sense, right? You give up Poeltl, like, who are you going to have at center? You're literally going to have Olynyk, Orlando Robinson, and Chomchi, who's still years away, right? So you got to keep Poeltl. I think this team, if they make a trade for someone or get lucky in the draft and go that route, they'll be in a good spot next season. So you need a center. Lakers may trade for Jakob Poeltl now, but they're gonna have to give up that other first. It is interesting you mentioned that, because by the Lakers somehow not giving up both of their first for Luka, which is insane to say in the same sentence, maybe they give up that first for Poeltl, but I don't know if they would, because I think they could get Jonas Valanciunas cheaper. Or I don't know who else is there. Like, I think they're going to go for a cheaper center option. What's going on, John Bow? I feel like Brown might be a bio candidate. It's a possibility. I don't like the Andrew Wiggins fit in Toronto. I'm passing on that. Don't be surprised Raptors make no moves. Yeah, I said that a minute ago, pro streams. I agree. Only player I see getting traded are Olynyk, Boucher, and possibly Mitchell. If Pelicans give up Herb Jones and BI, it's going to be RJ and Jakob Poeltl, and Pels need a 7-foot center that starts. Luka here in Austin Reeves, who plays no defense, now redundant on Lakers, so he may be part of a package for a good starting defensive center. Where are you hearing that from? Do you think the Cavs will do anything? They should add another bench piece, like another wing. Do you think the Pelicans would consider trading Zion at this point? Absolutely. I think they're open. Like I said a minute ago, I think they're open to trading Zion and BI. I think their only untouchables is Trey Murphy and Herb Jones and maybe DeJounte Murray. But even him, I wouldn't say he's an untouchable for them. But I think the Pelicans are in this weird spot where like they can end up getting a high pick in the lottery and they might have to just blow it up, honestly. Like they might have to just start over. So I could see them potentially trading Zion too. I don't think it'll happen at the deadline, but I think in future it's a possibility. Raptors see better prospect deeper in the draft, so that's part of the reason why they're winning, and lottery odds aren't guaranteed as well. So let me ask you this, Mischief. Who would you draft? Let's just say the Raptors fell from 7 to 10. And do you think he's a game changer for this team? I don't think you get I don't know. I don't think you get a game changer at that pick point unless you get really lucky. Well, Austin Reeves on the Raptors doesn't make any sense. So maybe they can trade Austin for someone else. But I agree. I think it's clunky now with Luka, LeBron, Reeves. All three of those guys need the ball in their hands. So I think Reeves could be traded. Yeah, I see that. Because you're gonna have to give somebody up for a center, and the Lakers got Reeves. Olenek and Brown to the Warriors for Wiggins in a first. Like I said earlier, I don't see the Warriors parting ways with Wiggins unless it's in the Jimmy Butler trade, which they're reportedly out on. But maybe they value the depth, but that doesn't really make sense for them because, like, I know, like, you're getting another big and Brown, but I like Wiggins is better. Like, he's the better player. Like, they're trading away the better player in that deal. I'm very high on Team Tank. Ace Bailey, Cooper Flack completely changes the trajectory of this franchise. I agree, John Bo. That's where I'm at right now with the Raptors. I'm a firm believer in those picks. I don't think the Raptors are getting Cooper Flag. I'm not that delusional, but I think an Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper would change things completely. Or even honestly, I'm a fan of Edgecombe. I think if the Raptors landed the top 5, they could still, like, there's a really good chance they land with a game changer. I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce his name, but I gotta do my research on that guy. I'll be honest. The Warriors are handcuffed at the second apron right now. Expiring salaries need to be their priority. Yeah, I think Edgecombe's solid too. Like, if he, like, you could get him at 4-5. What about Igor Demon? I haven't really been following him lately though. Just joining the live, man. This trade deadline is something else. I know. This is, quite frankly, the craziest trade deadline. It has to be, right? Like, from Luka getting traded to De'Aaron Fox getting traded, like, less than 24 hours later. I don't care if nothing else happens. This takes the cake just because of the Luka Doncic trade alone. To make a deal of that magnitude at the midway point of the season, it just completely blows my mind. I still can't believe Luka Doncic is a Laker. Like, I like that trade was so surprising that I feel like everybody is just, like, brushing this Fox one aside. It's like, oh, okay, because we knew it was coming. Like, we knew Fox was going to get traded to San Antonio. It was a matter of when or go there. But, like, that Luka Doncic trade, like, I legitimately have not been that shocked as a sports fan. I'm going to talk just as a sports fan, not as, like, a Raptors fan, because that's a biased opinion. Because, like, I'll say the Kawhi thing really shocked me, the Kawhi trade, and also Vince Carter going to the Nets as a kid. Man, how Mavs fans are feeling right now. As a kid, when Carter got traded, like, I was I was like, I can't watch the Raptors anymore. Like Vince Carter was my favorite player. He's the reason why I became a Raptors fan, reason why I do this now for a living, all that. Like Vince Carter was who introduced me to the game. And like when the Raptors traded him away, I was so upset. I was like 10 at the time. I got to do the math, but I was so upset. So I understand, like, if you're a little kid watching the Mavs, growing up on the Mavs, and then Doncic gets traded, this is worse because he didn't want to leave. Carter wanted to go, and I was still upset. But Doncic wanted to go. He wanted to stay, man. Like, it's insane. So, like, Luka Doncic to the Lakers is arguably, it might be the most shocked I've ever been as a sports fan. Like, that with KD going to the Warriors, I would say, from the NBA lens, but really in sports, because I really only watch NFL and NBA. NFL, nothing really struck me like that. Like Tom Brady to the Bucks, yeah, I was pretty surprising, but not to that level. Like Russell Wilson to the Broncos, no way. Yeah, like I would say it's those and Kawhi to the Raptors. Those are my three, and Vince Carter. So those are my four, I would say. But Luka could be a top one, man. Luka to the Lakers. Kasparonis is also good too. Wow, really? So he's dropped big time then, Demon. Do you believe in a backcourt of Dylan Harper and IQ, or do you see IQ being traded? That's a really good question. I think if they end up with Dylan Harper, I think that's when they exercise trades. I like. I think they see more of Grady as the can't touch player than IQ at this point. I'm high on 6'9". You were Demon as well. Pistons interested. Cuban sold the Mavs at the right time. Oh man, it's a huge win, and that's the thing. Like, it's good what the Mavs, they're not getting a scrub. Like, I feel like people saying the Mavs traded Luka for nothing. Like, that's dumb talk. Like, Anthony Davis is still a really, really good player. He's Hall of Fame bound. But you still can't trade away Luka freaking Doncic, man. A top 3 player in this game when he's healthy. 25, hasn't even hit his prime yet. 80's 31. I know that's still technically in your prime, but like, you don't do that. Like, you don't trade a generational talent, the face of your team, when he just led you to a finals. Like, and the fact that they only got one first for him, like, blows my mind. Like, they couldn't like get AD, AR, and 2 firsts, like, for Luka freaking Doncic. But Nico Harrison really loves AD apparently. Like, he really likes him. So look, that Mavs team, I don't think they're winning the title, but they're going to be really good defensively. They look good on paper, but the Mavs basically have 3 number 2 options. Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, and Kyrie. Like, those guys are phenomenal. Or Klay was, not anymore, but for the sake of this conversation, those 3 guys were phenomenal in their secondary role to the guy. Who's the guy on this Mavs team? Like, I'm interested to see that. Like, who's going to be that alpha late in games to close it out? Is he going to be Kyrie or AD? I like Trey Johnson as well. Cuban sold the Mavs at the right time. I totally forgot about that because my initial thought was like, how the hell did Mark Cuban do this? But he's a minority owner, so he doesn't really have that decision-making power anymore. And he doesn't have any decision-making power in terms of that. Yeah, on paper it looks good, but I'm not buying the Mavs as a championship team. Like, Luka, you don't trade Luka Doncic. I mean, if they wanted AD, like, try trading Kyrie in a big for AD. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. He set that franchise back. I'm actually pissed. I'm not even a Mavs fan. I'm a Raptors fan, but I'm pissed for Mavs fans. And honestly, like I liked the Mavs. Like I liked Luka on the Mavs. I'm not gonna lie. Like it was fun. Like that was a team that was easy to get behind, especially last season in the postseason. Like I wanted to see them beat the Celtics. I'm not gonna lie. But I know the fellas over at Lakers Nation are excited. Like Trevor Lane, especially my good friend. I got to. I might have to get a. They're probably gonna make me get a Luka Doncic Lakers jersey now. Is there any player in the next 1 to 2 years you really believe will be available and can fit Scotty's play style that the Raps can trade for? I liked Fox. I like the idea of Fox. I said it in the video on my personal channel. I was more in on Fox than BI, although I knew Fox was definitely not going to happen. But I think that's the ideal fit with Scotty, like kind of that combo guard versus like a Brandon Ingram, like large, like long wing forward. I think a combo guard would be perfect next to Scotty, and I think they're missing that. Like I hope IQ can pan out to what we think he is, but right now they don't have that. Right now he's not that guy. Like that's why like an Ace Bailey comes to my mind, or like just that dynamic guard. Yeah, like that's who I see next to Scotty. I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know who would be available in the next 1 to 2 years who fits that mold outside of the draft. Yeah. There's conspiracy theories going on, man. I try not to be a conspiracy theorist, but you might have to put the tinfoil hat for this one. It really doesn't make sense. It still boggles my mind, and I had the same thought. Like LeBron's about to retire, 25-year-old, about to hit his prime, one of the best players in the league, goes to the biggest market in the NBA, gonna set him up for the next decade. You do the math. And the Mavericks didn't get a king's ransom for him, and they specifically just went to the Lakers. And I don't mean to go on and on about the Mavs. Let me know if you have any other Raptors questions, but I will just say this. I find it just like stupid, literally. Like how if you're Nico Harrison and you're the Mavericks and you want to trade Luka Doncic behind closed doors like this and keep it all a secret, fine. But it's like, how do you not, if you have the intention of trading him, like, how do you not create a bidding war? And it's like, get the best offer. Like, there are so many other teams that could have put forth everything imaginable for Luka, and you just went to the Lakers. Like, I guess to answer my own question, Nico Harrison must really, really love Anthony Davis, and that was the guy that he had his eyes on. Of like, I just want him. I don't care about OKC offering me a million first rounders and Chet. I don't care about this team or that team, like, or the Wolves offering me Anthony Edwards or whatever. Like, I want Anthony Davis. So I don't know. Oh yeah, for sure. Like that's why it's a dumb move. Like the more you think about it, it makes me angry because like this effectively closed their this basically it limits their championship window. With Doncic, your championship window is for as long as he's playing at the top peak of his powers. So like the Lakers have a championship window for the next decade now because you have Luka Doncic. Even though their roster sucks, or like not sucks, but like even though the roster's incomplete, they still have a chance. Like honestly, I know they have no center depth, no center. They're probably gonna get a center, but whoever they get, like the Lakers, as constructed, you got a chance because you have Luka Doncic. He can single-handedly bring you to a finals or at least a conference finals. Like, you got a chance. Whereas the Mavericks, you're right. If a big injury happens, this thing goes up in flames, or if they don't win a championship in the next 2 or 3 years, 80's 31, Kyrie, I don't know his age, but I think he's a year older than that, and Clay's up there in age. Like, you got 2-3 years, then these guys are going to be done. And then what? They're going to be joining the Raptors. Well, or try to do what the Raptors are doing now of rebuilding, of trying to find their next guy, of trying to find their Scotty Barnes. So they set themselves back. They really did. They really did. They really set themselves back. The only way this doesn't look as bad, it still looks bad, but not as bad as if you win a championship. If you win a championship, you shut everybody up and you're like, I told you so. I know, we cost you one of the game's best, but we got you a championship, Mavs fans. But if these guys don't win a championship in the next year or two, like this, the Mavs are cooked. They are cooked. They're going to have to go tank or be a bad team for a while, and they're going to have to go through the draft and try to look for the next Luka Doncic. It's insane, man. It really is. I agree. Like if the Lakers get in with those guys and you have a center, whoever they get between now and the deadline, because you better believe the Lakers are going after a center. Like right now they got Jackson Hayes at the 5. Like that team's got a chance to beat anybody in a best of 7, man. Luka can go he can go crazy. We saw it last year in the playoffs. You add that Luka with LeBron and Reeves and just like yeah, they got a chance. Do you think the Warriors try to trade Brandon Ingram, Luka, or trade for Brandon Ingram? I think they need. I think they got to make a move, man. I think there's a lot of pressure on the Warriors now, especially after the Lakers made this trade for Luka. The Warriors got to make a trade. Lakers are winning the 2025 championship after this trade. You think they win it this year? I won't go as far as saying that, but put it this way. They got better odds to win the championship than Dallas. And Dallas has the more complete team. That just shows you the Luka Doncic effect. I believe right now Lakers are plus 1,800 to win the championship. The Mavs went back to 3,600. That's a big difference. And right now, if you compare their rosters, you would say like the Mavs are the much more complete team. Like their starting 5 actually looks good. Their depth looks good, but they don't have Luka Doncic. You think Lakers' interest in Pirtle goes up now? Yeah, I guess you can say it, but like I said before, I think they could get a cheaper option at center. There's a lot of centers on the market, like Valanciunas. I don't think they have to go up and over to get a center. Like Pirtle would be nice for them, but I don't see them giving the Raptors what they would want. Like the Raptors paid a steep price for Pirtle, and they want a good return for him, and rightfully so. So unless the Lakers are willing to dangle that remaining first round pick, I don't see Pirtle to the Lakers. Yeah, Vooch too. Yeah, they're pretty bad defensively, but I don't know. That's the Lakers' problem now. They got to figure that out. But guys, any final questions before I sign off here? Any last bit? Appreciate everybody. I didn't realize it's almost midnight. Feels like a Saturday tonight for some reason. Probably because a trade just went down. If we land the 6th pick, do you see Masai willing to move future picks to move into the top 3 with the talent? That's a really good question. That's a really, really interesting scenario. I would not dismiss that. Like 6th pick paired. Would you do that? Would you do that, chat? Would you trade the 6th pick paired with the 2026 first to get into the top 3? I guess it depends which teams fall in that top 3. If it's like a terrible bottom feeding team that needs like their generational guy, I don't see them doing that. But if it's like a team that lucks out that shouldn't even be there, I see them doing that. But if it's like Wizards, Jazz, Nets, like if that's the top 3, I don't see any of them trading away one of those top 3 picks. But like if it's like trying to think where that would like apply. Yeah, if it's like a team like Atlanta last year that kind of lucks into that top 3 and they already have like their star, like Philadelphia. Like this is a bad example because I think Philly's going to start moving on up. But let's just say Philadelphia fell into the top 3 and they're still a firm believer in Maxey and Embiid. I could see them doing something like that. Or like if I don't know, Miami fell back, but they won't fall back. I mean, yeah, I'm looking at the bottom teams. A lot of these teams, they need their stud. Like Wizards, Hornet, maybe the Hornets too, I would say. Like that was the first team I was thinking of like they get into the top 3, they would be willing to do that because they have, LaMelo, Brandon Miller, and like Ace Bailey has been compared to a Brandon Miller archetype. So I think the Pacers will still be a good team next year, so maybe that pick won't be that high. But the 26 draft class is also very loaded. Yeah, is that Melo's son in that year? I might be way off with that. Yeah, that's true too. I guess I'm assuming the Pacers are going to be absolutely trash, but they're probably still going to be good. What the hell? The Pacers are the 4th seed? When the hell did the Pacers move into the 4th seed? I have not been tuning into Pacers games. So yeah, you know what? They are probably going to remain good. I'm still thinking the Pacers are the Pacers who the Raptors beat at the beginning of the season when they're terrible. Yeah, so you know what? That 2026 might not even end up being good if the Pacers don't fall off. 2026 is next year. No, I don't think he was intoxicated. He clearly wanted to do that. I think he's just he's a sick man. But yeah, just be thankful, Raptors fans, for as bad as things get. For as bad as things get, at least you're not a Mavs fan. Don't mean to give Mavs fans strays, but I'm telling you, it's tough. If you're a Mavs fan right now, I don't think it's ever justifiable to stop rooting for your diehard, lifelong team and jump to another team. But after what they just experienced with Luka Doncic, that might open that to being a possibility, man. Because if you are a Mavs fan and you went through that, I would crash out. I'm crashing out now, and I'm not even a Mavs fan. So be grateful, Raptors fans. It's not terrible where the Raptors are right now. It really isn't. They won a championship 6 years ago. They got some nice pieces. We got Masai, so it could be a lot worse. What's worse, the Luka and AT trade or Jay? I did not like Jay winning the Rumble, but I'm still going with Luka and AD being worse. Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Appreciate all of you for tuning in. Reminder, I will be live on my personal channel, Luka Rosano, tomorrow night to continue this conversation. And maybe there's some new developments as we get closer to the trade deadline. But appreciate all of you for hanging out. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. That's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on X at Luka Rosano 3. I will catch you all again in the next one. Have a good night, everybody. Peace out.